space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes, you are welcome. Thank you for that visual, Sati. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you, wherever you are at this very moment in time. Thank you for tuning in to yourself first and then listening. And when you tune into yourself and listen, you create the space for yourself to be transformed. It is Transformational Tuesday. I haven't said that in a long time. And I heard it this morning. I'm like, ooh, yes, it's Transformational Tuesday. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents, Being You, the journey back to yourself. And we allow ourselves to remember that we are present, we are here, and we are now. Because the divine already said, I am present, I am here, I am now. So if the divine is present and the divine is now, you're here with the divine. So no need to trip. This is season 3, episode 20. Today's Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Our theme for the month is Say My Name. No, I'm not going to do it. Absolutely not. But it's tempting. Marian is in the house. It's nice to see you. Quali is in the house. It's a family affair. That's what I'm trying to say. This podcast, this conversation is an invitation for you to take a look at how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see yourself in the world, and how you see the world in you. When you take a moment to do that and really take a look at yourself, take a look at the world, take a look at how you see yourself in the world, what you're bringing to the world, what you're adding to the world, what you're taking away from the world, what you're not trying to participate with in the world. And then you look at how you're showing up, how you see the world in you. That changes everything. That's called living from the inside out. We want to invite you to join us on our main page, which is facebook.com/Being You podcast. And we invite you to like and share this broadcast in advance because we just know it's going to be good. They're going to thank you later. They don't know it yet, but because you know it, I know it, I know it, you know it, you know it, I know it. So just go ahead and share. It's like, ooh, you want some of this. And as I've been saying, it helps us to helping the algorithms to do what they need to do. And all the other stuff that's going on, we can kind of just like let that go because there's some going on. But we ain't going to worry about that because the truth will be told even if it takes a liar to tell it. I ain't a liar, but I'm saying truth, you can't hold truth back. Truth will be told no matter what. I remember when I first heard Rev D say that, something she heard from my grandmother. I just thought that was so powerful because truth will always find a way. And I even would go as far as saying sometimes the discomfort that we feel, it's truth trying to express itself. So it's pushing all the other stuff out of the way. So our responsibility is to make room for truth to express itself. My dear sister Shoyinka is in the house. Bebo love, breathe in and breathe out. Yes, 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 that's what we're doing. And when we breathe in and breathe out, we remember we're one with the one. Quick announcements, libsyn.com, libsyn.com. If you have a podcast, thinking of starting a podcast, researching podcasting, make sure you put libsyn.com on your list. And you can talk to me about it too, because I can help you with setting it up and everything. And on top of that, if you sign up like, no, I can do this myself. I want to learn to do things by myself. Well, guess what? I'm still going to be all up in it if you want. Make sure you use a promo code. Libsyn is a podcast hosting site where you can host your podcast and save it there. They don't delete it. Unlimited storage. You get great statistics. I use it. I have several clients now that use it. Friends that I recommended it to. The promo code is ADE, ADE. Pretty simple. You get a month free. And depending on when you sign up, you might get up to almost 2 months free, but you're guaranteed at least a month. If you sign up today, the 18th, you get the whole of May free and then get the whole of June free. Libsyn.com, libsyn.com, promo code ADE, ADE. Check it out. Read about it. Extra, extra. Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time. Join Ricky Byers and myself for soul fulfilling, soulful songs, and soulful conversations every Wednesday. You get to hear Ricky's music, the stories. There's a lot of stories in that show. It's kind of different. It's like a prayer circle. If you haven't checked it out, I invite you to check it out. It's also different for me because I'm not the main driver. I'm co-driving, co-piloting, co-hosting. It's just another way to be in the space of healing, of love, of high vibration. So check it out every Wednesday. If you're those of you in America, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and those of you who in UK, 6 p.m. No, 2 a.m. Those of us in UK, yeah, that's what happened. 2 a.m. And if you're in the rest of the world, I say go to worldclock.com. Okay, I do my best. Representing our ancestors, representing our stories. Part 3 is coming up June 19th. Check it out. The website, the link to the information is bit.ly/represent or represent vision. Represent vision. bit.ly/represent vision. We just did part 2 this past Saturday, where the theme for part 2 was telling a new story. Part 1 was around grief. We grieved together. We gave space to it. We allow space. We allow ourselves to release. We allow ourselves to connect with our ancestors. Connecting with our ancestors. Connecting with ourselves is one of the most powerful hidden truth secret. It's hidden truth in plain sight. You know, it took me a while to get to this point. And for, I don't know, 5 years, whatever, probably longer. I mean, kind of like put my toes in it and learning and finding out more in the last 2 years or so, especially since being back in the UK, I've just gone deeper. And hey, New Jace, nice to see you. You've been on my mind. If I didn't see you today, I would have put out an APB. So for me, with representing our ancestors, representing our stories, it's shifted me in ways that I can't describe it. I can try and use some words. Because what I'm discovering on this journey of remembering our ancestors, and I want to say this, the process of remembering our ancestors also includes remembering the elders that are here. That includes your mother, your father, your aunties and uncles. Whoever's here, because they're the connection to the ancestors. This thing called life is not for wimps. And a spiritual path is for gladiators. You've heard me say that before. And if we're serious about doing spiritual work, it means we're showing up to be about healing. Now, it can sound very challenging, difficult. Sometimes it is challenging. Sometimes it is difficult. It is difficult because we make it difficult, and it's difficult because it's simple. You know, think about it. We are connecting right now, and we're not even in the same space. And you can share your stories. I can share my stories, and we'll feel connected. I just acknowledge New Jays, even Kwali, Marion, everybody. I've met Shoyinka before, but New Jays, Kwali, Marion, those of you in the chat room, never met you before, but I feel connected. New Jays, Jackie, I've known for seems like forever. She's like blood. So we don't have to experience someone's physical presence to feel connected to them. And I'm experiencing that in all kind of ways. In a romantic relationship, that's a whole different conversation. It's like I'm looking at this thing called connection, and how we can connect to another, how we can connect to those who are not in the physical body, who are not on earth. But the mind tells us, well, they're not here, they're dead. If you really want to experience yourself in a new way, you really want to experience happiness, joy, even abundance. When you connect with your roots, just think about it, your roots. That means as a tree, when you're connected to your roots, you're anchored, you're sustained. Your food is not only coming from some of the things that happens out here, but most of it's coming from earth. So, and I always say this too, if you don't join us on this first leg of representing our ancestors, representing our stories, you can join the next one, or you can be part of part 3. And when I'm saying the next one, I mean there's going to be another one. I don't even know how. I feel like it's morphing. Yeah, is that the word? Yeah, I think that's it. We'll go with that. If it was wrong, don't worry about it. If it was right, so yeah, he knew what he was talking about. But it's shifting and changing. But what I want to say is join us for part 3, even if you missed part 1, part 2. If you were part 1, you missed part 2, or you missed part 2, but you're at 1. Doesn't matter. Just come. The work is always happening. However, if you don't do this event that I birthed, I'm very clear it's a birthing. It's not something that I did. It was a birth. It was a download. And I really believe that's why it's pulling me forward. And sometimes when I try to hold on to it and how I want it to be, what I think should be happening, I experience a lot of pain, mental pain. I'm not even lying to you. And I feel so peaceful the minute I release it. Release what it's going to look like, release who's coming, release who's registered, who hasn't registered, release people saying they're coming and not showing up, or just release it. It's a moment to moment to moment to moment. Today we're talking about your name and your nature as sacred. Yeah. I said, let me not go ahead of myself. What I'm going to do is tell you right now, go register, because you're hearing this, share it with someone. Represent Vision, bit.ly/represent vision. And go there, check it out. Register June 19th, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. It's a 3-hour process. We do embodiment practices. We share. People get to connect with so-called strangers and realize strangers were not really strangers. Who was once a stranger is now my sister, my brother, who I want to go visit. And when we connect like that, that makes the status quo nervous. That's why they took out Martin Luther King, right? That's why they took out Malcolm X. They're like, these people have too much power. We can't let them do that. Where there's connection, there is power. And whether that connection is with your family members, where there's disconnection, there's a sort of fragility that happens. Ooh, I can go places with that. When you're feeling fragile because there's a disconnection, you're disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from your ancestors, you're disconnected from your stories, you're disconnected from your existence. And you're holding on to some external things as who you are. So when that is challenged, of course you're going to be fragile. Like, wait, don't take that away from me. Yeah. And that goes across the board, not even just about race. I want to read today's daily thought. And I'm just going to read it. It was written by yours truly many months ago. And once again, I didn't plan this, but it's perfect for today's conversation. Let me pull it up. Today's Tuesday, May 18th, 2020. It's Daily Thoughts published by Hillside International Truth Center. And the affirmation is, I am in a loving relationship with the divine. I want you to just repeat that out loud if you can, within if you can't. If you're by yourself and you're like, well, I can't say it out loud, why not? That tell you a lot about yourself. You might even want to say it out loud if there are other people and say, that's one way to get them away from you. I am in a loving relationship with the divine. Okay. All right. We knew you were crazy. Yeah, I am. You have to be crazy to be in a loving relationship with the divine. So here we go. When we are in a loving relationship with another person, we are excited to know and learn more about them. We share our experiences with enthusiasm. We are willing to trust more. Just the thought of them brightens our day. Being in a loving relationship with the divine is the ultimate love affair. This love affair heals insecurities, trauma, lack, limitation, and the sense of unworthiness. I am in love. I am in love with the divine. I'm in love, and I'm in love with the divine. I am in love with the divine. This loving relationship generates powerful desires in me to live out loud, to show up for my life and be an agent of possibility. Divine love restores and renews me every day. I recognize that my love for the divine is true self-love. Every cell in my body radiates light. My heart is healed and my soul is free. Thank you, power in me, through me, as me, around me, through the Christ within, and so it is. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all of your might. Deuteronomy 6:5. Deuteronomy, if I can say, speak. I'll just use sign language. If you shall love the Lord, the law of life, the divine, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, everything about you, when you accept and allow yourself to fall in love with God, sound like a preacher there. Fall in love with God. God would open now. Anyway. But just think about it. In love, those of us who have experienced love in relationship, or maybe in one or in a new relationship, and oftentimes we downplay the being in love stage of a romantic relationship, being in love, falling in love. That's for children. No, actually, when you fall in love, that stage is a very powerful stage that we play down. When you fall in love, you're falling into love. So you're already rising. You're already rising. You're falling into the arms of love. And that stage when you start in a new romantic relationship and everything is bright, nothing is wrong. You're joyful. You go to bed smiling while you're sleeping. You got a smile on your face. You wake up feeling like, oh, I can't wait to call my boo. Guess what that is? That is a glimpse of what love is. You're with somebody that you've allowed yourself to accept, that you can show up just as you are, and they will love everything about you. Sometimes they're being authentic. Sometimes they're trying to impress you. Sometimes you're trying to impress them. So there's that saying, fake it till you make it. So you fake being in acceptance of them, of who they are. They fake, if you do, who you are, and to be accepted for who you are, where maybe parts of yourself that you've judged, they actually are saying, maybe they're actually speaking the truth to it. Like, I just love that you have that mole right on your nose. And this is something that you walked around judging yourself. And they have you see things differently. And you're like, wow, really? I never looked at it that way. That is an example of how the divine loves. It accepts us completely and fully. I know it's a journey and know it's a process. There are times when I feel like I know it, and there are times when I'm thinking, where the flip is the divine in all of this crap right now? You need to show your face. And if the divine was human, be like, hello, I am right here. I am right here. But for whatever reason, I don't know why sometimes we feel disconnected. I don't know why sometimes it even feels weird to say, I'm in love with the divine. And to really feel the same kind of intensity we feel when we're making love. Yeah, let that jar you a little bit. It makes me feel like, ooh, wait a minute, slow down, rabbit. Think about it. When you are holding another human being and you feel their love, you feel their hug. How? What? If we're sacred beings, why don't we feel that about God all the time? About the universe? Why? I don't know. I can come up with ideas. But why we don't always feel that is not as important compared to cultivating that relationship to feel that love. And that love feels like self-love. And self-love doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes. Self-love doesn't mean you're not going to betray yourself sometimes or betray another. Because true love is unconditional love. Like, whatever. I love you. Oh, really? You killed somebody. I still love you. You stole somebody's wife, husband? I still love you. You don't believe in love? I still love you. You don't believe in a higher power? I still love you. And the minute you shift that around, you forgive yourself for your past mistakes. I can't believe I did that. I've spent time in jail, in prison, or whatever, correcting my mistakes. I've made my apologies. I've offered my apologies. I've forgiven myself. And love goes, I still love you. Why not be in love with love? So, yeah. Representing our ancestors, representing our stories is expanding, I believe. If you're hearing about it the first time, or you've heard about it, but you didn't know when it was, and you thought, oh, dang, I missed it. Or you just want to know what I'm up to, go to my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com, and sign up for my mailing list, which goes out once a month. Yeah. I sort of am in a place where I'm giggling on the inside because there is something to be said when we surrender. And this whole thing about falling in love with the divine, the title today is Your Name and Your Nature is Sacred. When we understand our sacredness, we can move out of the way. Sometimes we're in the way. Before the show, I'm like, okay, I'm going solo today. And yesterday I was like, I'm really excited about going solo, and I still am. And I was, and I am. But before the show, I was like, I don't know where the show's gonna go. I was like, I feel like I had a lot to share. And as soon as I showed up, because I'm showing up, I'm sure some of you can relate to this, Spirit comes through. And it's recognizing that who you are, who I am, who we are is sacred. We are the place where the divine gets to represent itself, gets to show up. Names. What's the meaning of your name? What your name is, Shouty? Shouty, what your name is? Say my name, Shouty. Every time I do that, I think of a friend of mine in Cali, Monique. She would say, you and your British, Nigerian, Southern accent. Yes, I have a British, Nigerian, Southern accent, or maybe a Nigerian, British, Southern accent. I don't know. And then I'm a Nigerian man born in UK, conceived in Germany, who feels more at home in America. I mean, how mixed up do they come? You know I'm not like anybody else. And you're not. But names mean something. What does your name mean? What's the meaning of your name? Ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your grandparents. Why is it important, especially for those of us, those who are born in the Western world? See, If not, I'm willing to say I don't know from experience, but I believe every country in Africa, when people in countries in Africa get that out because I want to say that correctly because anyway, naming a child is a big deal. The Dagara people in Burkina Faso, when a mother is pregnant, there is a ceremony that is done to ask the child what name, what name does the child want to be called? What's the name? What the name of the child is? What are your names? It's a ceremony. They receive the name from the child, from the spirit of the child. How are you showing up? Because they know, they understand that every spirit, every being is here on a mission. We all have a destiny. In Nigeria, when a child is born for the first 7 days, the child has no name. The naming ceremony takes place on the 8th day, where there's all symbols, different things that represents life: salt, sugar, water, honey. There's prayer going on. The elders are there and blessing the child. And the names that are given to a child in Nigeria, particularly the Yoruba culture, is different with the Igbo culture and the Hausa culture. I'm Yoruba, so I know about that. The names, they have meaning. They tell a story. They tell a story about the family. They tell a story about the legacy. So as a child, as a person, you're carrying your ancestors. You're carrying your family. You're carrying the stories of your ancestors with you. In the Western world, not as a bad thing, and that's something that we really need to be aware of. I mean, I say in Africa, but people from indigenous cultures, because there is this deep connection to nature, to life, and a deep awareness that this thing called God is not a man, is not a being. You can say he, she if you want, but you can't even describe it, because the minute you start to describe God, you already limit God. The minute you start to define love, you define it. You've made it less than. And that's okay, because even the body is a definition, a defining of the infinite. So indigenous cultures, they understood that we're part of it all. We're part of something bigger, something greater. In the Western world, our brothers and sisters of lighter expression, white folks, their culture, their journey is different. And those of us melanated folks who were born in UK or America, that's home. So we do things the way things are done at home. Now, of course, not everybody just pulls out a name out of a book, which that's just the way they're doing it. However, what I will say is the consciousness that we use to name a child is very important. Now, sometimes some people name their children based on the name of the nurse, the midwife, the doctor, because they loved how the midwife treated them, or whatever the case may be. So there's still love there. So for those of you who are looking to have a child, or maybe you're having a child that's not a human being, but you're birthing an idea, pay attention to how you're naming it, because you're breathing life into it. You're calling forth life and breathing life. So it's like, you're breathing in and breathing out. You're breathing in and breathing out. Pat said, we are so disconnected from our ancestors. And she also said, I think that's a beautiful tradition. I wish American names had meanings. Yes. I'm going to say something about that. And I know what you're saying. And I would say that it means something. I saw today, this morning, I think it was Matthew Matthew means, well, let me rephrase that. English names, when the name is English, you're just like, it's Matthew. Is it? But Hebrew name, Matthew as a Hebrew name means a gift of God. A gift of God. So I used to talk about being a name snob. Oh my God. When I went during my coming to America experience, when I first got to land and people tell me their name, I'm like, what does it mean? I don't know. It doesn't have a meaning. Or it's a combination of my mom and my dad's name. I'm like, that just don't make any sense. Oh, I was so judgmental. I was so like, how can your name not mean anything? How? That don't even make sense to me. And it didn't. But for me, for my own growth and to get off my high horse, I really had to accept that it means to the person whatever it means. Now, I think we can all elevating consciousness, support one another by helping people think differently about the names that they're being called. Because if you think your name doesn't mean anything, and your name is really sacred, is your name is word that's put together to call the spirit that is you. So if you're walking around, I don't know what my name means. Can you know who you are if you don't know what your name means? That's a question. And you can change your name. You can change your name. Now, family members may not change it with you, but it ain't about them anyway. You change it for you. You change it for yourself. Names are sacred because it's the identity of who you are as a spiritual being, or as a spiritual being in a human body. Let me put it that way. Your nature, the thing that makes you so unique, your persona, how you show up. Like, there's something about you that's so unique that your friends, your family members, your co-workers, they just know that's you. You know, if someone, say, there's some of us who love pets, and if a co-worker comes in, oh, guess what? I'll use my name, for example. I don't think I'll do this. Guess what Ade did today? On the way to work, he stopped and picked up a cat that he saw on the highway and took it to the rescue center. I don't know if I do all that, but I'm just using my name as an example. Most people will be like, yeah, that's just like him. That's just like her. So your nature, how you show up, that unique way in which God is showing up as you, it's sacred. Why? What is sacred? Sacred means connected with God. Not just connected to God, you're connected with God. I love the distinction between the with and the to. Like, I'm connected to someone. I'm connected to my dad. I'm connected to my family, to them. Yeah, I am. But something about connected with, that who you are, your nature, your uniqueness, your gifts, your talents, your challenges, your struggles, everything that you've gone through. It's a way in which the divine is showing up in every pain, every challenges, every suffering that you go through, that you've been through, that you're going through, is only pushing forth the best in you. Now, if you don't see yourself as sacred, if you think, I don't know, I think God created me when God was taking a day off. Like, just put that together. Yeah, maybe God was tired when God was creating me. If you see yourself as that, if you see yourself as, my teacher said I would not amount to anything. People make fun of my name, so it must not be a good name. I hate my name. Ooh, Lord, jeez. Felt that. People say that I hate my name. If you hate your name, change it. Change your name. Change your name. Change it, you can. The thing is, when you're changing your name, it's easy to change names. What is challenging is how you changing your own mindset about changing your name, which is part of the gift, because you get to start seeing yourself differently. You know, I'm going to use Sati as an example here. She might like feel some kind of say, I'd rather you not do that, but I'm feeling led to do it. Okay, thank you. She's like, I give you permission to do it. I don't even know what you're gonna say, but you're good. You seem to be doing something good right now. I can trust the flow you're in. When she changed her name, there were times when we were having a meeting that she was referred to Leslie. It was like, what am I saying? There is a process when we change how we want to be seen in the world. So, as I said earlier, family members may say, yeah, well, whatever. I don't know what you call yourself. And when you start going to that spiritual center or something like that, and they don't even believe in Jesus, and they believe in Buddha and Allah, and you doing all that stretching and talking some dog cat pose, yeah, you're going to hell. I'm gonna call your name. Your mama called ya. It's fine. I mean, it doesn't feel. Sometimes feels triggering. It triggers. But you know what? Your spiritual journey ultimately is really only about you. And what I mean by that is the change that you allow to happen in and through you, the transformation is really, you're the one that's going to catch it first. Because you could be experiencing such a deep, deep relationship with the divine, with God, with Allah, with Buddha, whatever name you want to call it, the universe, your spiritual guides, Archangel Michael. You're having such a deep, loving, intimate relationship, and others can still look at you side eye like, she lost her mind. Something's wrong with him. But when you know, I had a similar conversation with my dad this Sunday, which is interesting, the whole conversation, but I'll give you the short version. But I was just talking about, the leaders in the world, that some of them are drunk. They're drunk with power. And part of what they do is more for show. It's not a power that comes from within. And even those who are talking in the name of Jesus, in the name of God, in the name of Muhammad or whatever, there isn't a deep, deep relationship, because when we really connect with God, the God of our own understanding, in an intimate way, you don't need 10 commandments. You don't need anything to command you. You have no reason to steal, because God's got your back. Commandment is for those who are thinking, sometimes I believe in God, sometimes I don't. Commandments are for people saying, if I can kind of sneak behind God's back, oh, damn, there's a commandment. Shit, I can't do that. But when you are in integrity, when you're accountable to spirit, when you know that your every action is creating your next moment, when you know that there is a consequence for every action, whether someone is looking or not, if you steal something, you're going to have to deal with it on some level. There is a statement that's saying that goes, we're not punished for our sins, we're punished by our sins. It's not the fact that you sinned. I mean, the Christian religion talks a lot about sin, and you got to repent, you got to repent, you got to repent. And all it takes, once you repent and turn to God and accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, God will love you no matter what. No matter what you did, your sin is wiped away, right? So that means unconditional love is always going to love you no matter what you do. What's more important is that you cleanse yourself. Can you live with yourself with the things you've done in the past that you regret? So, the things that we do that are mistakes, we don't need commandments. If any of you listens to Abraham Hicks, Esther Channel's non-physical beings called Abraham. And one of the channels, Abraham was like, the laws of our countries, it's not for people who are going to abide by the law. The law's for people who don't want to abide by it. So somebody who, if they say now you can't go 50 miles an hour, the ones that could probably be really pissed. Well, actually, they wouldn't pay attention to it. The ones who are not going to abide by it probably wouldn't pay attention to it. However, they have the laws in the rule, they love the laws in place so that they can say, well, you didn't abide by the rules, and this is a consequence. There's a consequence for every thought, for every action, and we can change things in an instant. So we don't have to be afraid of our thoughts. Sometimes part of the journey is like, I got to watch what I think. Yes, and there's grace. Because in the moment that I thought a thought that is not in alignment with what I desire, in the moment when I'm thinking about how things are not working out and I'm beating myself up, in that moment when I recognize that I can stop. The only power you have, the most, your power is in the now. Let me say it that way. Your power is in the now. So whether you think a thought and you're afraid it's going to create in the next moment, if you tap into your power now, then you understand that what will be created is not something for you to be afraid of, because you are the creator. Why would the creator be afraid of what was created? The world we live in, we created it. The way we see the world, we created it, but we're afraid of how these things that we create, because we think we didn't do it. It's happening outside of us. Pat said, family and people who don't understand can be so critical. Indeed. Rashida Godwin, thank you for being here. People will be critical, but let me say it this way, because I don't want to throw blanket statements out there. It's easy sometimes. People will be critical. Sometimes it doesn't bother us. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I am the people who is critical. However, when I remember that every criticism is a confession, then I know I'm telling people about my own mindset, my own consciousness. Thank you, Rashida. She said, I'm enjoying this. Me too. I'm telling you, at the beginning, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll see what happens. I'm enjoying what's happening here. This is fun. This is yummy. I don't use that word. Forget I said yummy. I don't use yummy. I don't use yummy. Why would I say something? Anyway, yes. You know, I was saying the whole thing about the things that we create, we get the impact first. One of the things I love teaching more than anything else. I love teaching. There are lots of things that I do. I love drumming. I love inspiring. I love empowering. I love telling stories. I love supporting people as a coach. I love doing spiritual counseling to get people to just shift their mind and allow healing to happen. I love it. And when I'm doing it, I feel like I want to say, hey, you getting some of this? Because I'm having a good time. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, that's a good thought. I can use it for myself. Where was I going earlier? I was saying something, but I forgot. Oh, yeah. Well, no, that's not it. It'll come back to me. Anyway, so this is what you do in radio when you forget what you're talking about. You're listening to, you do a segue, but nobody knows. I just tell too much sometimes. You're listening to Ade Presents, Being You, the journey back to yourself. That's a reset. So you forgot, you will forget too what I was trying to say. Oh boy, yes. I want to hear your thoughts in the chat room. Pat is chatting with me on Instagram. Donato's there. How do you see your name? Do you like your name? Would you change your name if you could? Would you is that something that you allow yourself to do? Do you want to change your name? What does your name mean to you? And do you feel like you represent your name? And when you think of yourself, do you think of yourself mostly as someone who's flawed, who's still trying to get somewhere? I'm not spiritual enough. I'm not a child of God enough. I'm not loving enough. Or do you just accept yourself just as you are right now? That is the most powerful healing medicine. When we accept ourselves just as we are. Just as we are. Whether you are flipping up or flying high, if you can accept your mistakes, your struggles, and yes, there are times where the space we're in is very hard, is very difficult. But when you understand what we're saying in today's title, your name and nature is sacred. If your name is sacred and your nature is sacred, that also means you are sacred. So no matter what you're doing, whether you are being victimized, whether you are the perpetrator, whether you're being betrayed or you're the one betraying someone, if you can just come to the place where you say, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what's happening right now. This is what's happening right now. I accept it. One of this, I use it. Sometimes I forget to use it, but when I do it, it's powerful. And I think it was last week, I was feeling overwhelmed. And it's funny because there was a time where I was just struggling to keep up with everything that I needed to do. And then I've been doing a lot of different, well, not a lot of different things. I'm creating a new structure, new discipline. And it's made me more focused. And I'm doing the things that I say I wanted to do that I wasn't doing before because I was putting important things till later. And I do the mundane things first, and then by the time the day is over, I'm like, oh, I didn't do that. Anyway, I turned that around. So I'm focusing on what is important. But now it changed my relationship with time. And the work I was doing, I was even more energized. Like, ooh, I'm glad I'm getting this done. But then this whole thing about time, it's not enough time because now I can't get all of it done. And then I started to feel overwhelmed. And I'm like, oh my God, now that I'm focused, I'm still dealing with this feeling overwhelmed shit. Come on. And I was fighting. It's like, what is it? What is this belief in being overwhelmed? Why is it showing up in the way that it does? And I'm part of a group where we do this daily check-in and just kind of share what we're doing to contribute to our dreams and sharing for others to hear what's happening. And as I was sharing that, I'm feeling that sense of overwhelming to gain, and I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. I took a breath, and in that moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to accept that I'm overwhelmed. I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to accept being overwhelmed. And it just shifted me. I felt my energy shift. Most of the struggles that we have, the pain, is caused by force. We're pushing it. We're pushing things away. That's not me. This shouldn't happen. Why is this happening to me? That causes pain. But the minute you let go and accept what is happening, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're not sacred. It doesn't mean you're not loved. It doesn't mean you're not part of the divine, connected with God. It just means that's what's happening. That's power. That's how you shift. Because in that moment, it's like reconnecting with your roots, your ancestors, your power, your uniqueness, your geniusness. And you can actually be in the midst of all that's happening, but yet feeling grounded. I'm telling you what I know. And after a while, the fact that you're feeling grounded and enjoying what you're doing, and you're knocking things out, things that you've been saying you wanted to do for 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, whatever, and you're knocking them out, you start to just feel lighter. And it's like, oh, I like this new discipline, this new structure. And then feeling depressed, feeling overwhelmed, has nothing to hold on to because you're so light. So when you're pushing, it's like this. It's like pulling, you're pushing, you're pulling, you're pulling and pushing and pulling and push. But the minute you say, oh yeah, I'm overwhelmed, you let go. It's like, it has no anchor. In the Sacred Yes by Deborah Johnson, Rev D, it talks about not being a Velcro. not being in a Velcro to the things that you don't want in your life. When you're pushing and resisting, you become like Velcro. It's got something to stick on. When you accept it, it just drops. Have you ever been in a disagreement with someone and you're going off and they just look at you and smile? Or they just say, my bad, I'm sorry. Like, first they were going back and forth with you, right? And then suddenly they just chill. I don't know about you, but I've had that experience. I was pissed, like, oh no, you don't get to be calm while I'm mad. No, you're going to get mad. We're going to keep this argument going. There's something that's disarming when there is no force pushing back. Acceptance is love. Unconditional love is acceptance. When you accept, you're coming from a place of unconditional love, that you're not judging the moment. It's funny. That's pretty powerful. Divine order. Myron said, I accept myself as I am. I also know that I am continually, I need my glasses. I mean, it's not that small, but they're kind of like blurring together. I need a clean glass. I need my glasses to be clean. All this stuff going on. I accept my glasses just the way it is. I also know that I'm continually elevating to a higher level. When I was born, everyone was named after other family members, aunties, uncles, and grandparents, which holds a lot, because then of course, by default, the essence of the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents is passed on. But being named by aunties and uncles and grandparents and those who came before you, that means they just extended their essence, their truth, their soul imprint. Yeah, I like that. Thank you, my dear sister. We are sacred beings. And the things that we see that we don't like, that triggers us, we recognize those things because we are sacred beings. We're able to see injustice, abuse, people being marginalized, indifference, places where people are being silent. We see it because we're sacred beings. Something in you, in me, in us is saying, it doesn't have to be that way. And advertisers know it. So when they want you to donate to an organization, they'll show a pet that's suffering or has a broken leg, or they show a child in a country, particularly in Africa, like, because they're so destined to fix that motherland, that the mother's so broken. Donate money to a child. There are people in Nigeria that are living better than people in the UK or America. But you won't see that. Well, that's not true. You do see it. I see it. You see it on social media. Thank God for the internet. But my point is, commercials, advertisers, they're what's the word? It was just there, it's gone. But they're trying to connect with that heart of you, not part, heart of you, that sacredness. So you be moved to do something, to make a difference. And then we live in a society where, yes, there's a spiritual, yeah, I'm sacred, I know I'm sacred, but shit, I got to get this money. I got to get this coins. I got to take care of me. I got to pay the bills. And that's what we're constantly going back and forth. I was trying to find a balance. Like, maybe if I do a little bit of this meditation, I can do 20 minutes, I do 10. So maybe that would help me to get the coins. So then if I have the coins, I can get the outfits I want. My family could be happy. And then sometimes the coins start to come in and say, maybe I'll do meditate for 5 minutes because the coins are coming in. Yeah. And then, and the coins are coming in. You got your bag. Everything is happening. Ooh, wee, Rashida. Okay, I'm going to read that. Everything is coming in. You're like, oh my God, my life is so good. I know I need to meditate, but I'm just so busy. I got people relying on me. Oh yeah, I'm going to meditate. And then one day it's like, oh Lord, why did this happen to me? Oh, this thing called life, man. It's interesting. And the beautiful thing is, you really don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. You know, I'm certain, I'm sure, I know that some of what you're hearing is activating something in you. That's your only responsibility. I might say 10 things. If one thing resonates with you and makes you go, whew, wow, I say practice that, put it into practice. We don't need to spend time saying, well, that one thing was really touched my soul, but the other 9 things, that was a load of bullshit. I don't know why I was saying all that. And, you know, I don't know what's wrong with these people. And then you're like, I don't know what's wrong with these people. And then before you know, you're trying to find what's wrong with you. But when you find what's right in the world, sometimes you really have to fine tune to see what is right about yourself, what is right about this world. And it is nothing, it's not burying your head in the sand. To live a spiritual path is an awakened path. It's like seeing things. It's waking up. The more aware you become, the more aware you become. And as a society, we're more aware now. We're seeing things that was once hidden. Let's not get caught up. Like, why are people suffering? Why are the government kidnapping people? Why is there injustice? Why? Because people have forgotten that they're sacred. People have forgotten that they're spiritual. People have forgotten that they're connected to everything. People who forget that they're connected to nature, part of nature and divine, will do stupid shit. That's why. There's no point investigating it. Because when people are doing horrible things, evil things, and as a government, you decide to do research to find out about racism in the UK, that tells me you're part of the problem, which is what they did here during the Black Lives Matter movement protest last year. Suddenly, they want to do some investigation and see race relations in the UK. And then April 1st, they announced, well, UK now is actually not a country that you can say there's systemic racism anymore. We've advanced. People of color, BIPOC community are doing well in schools and getting good jobs. So now, no, there's no systemic racism in the UK. Bull flipping shit. Just sit. Anyway, let me not go down to what's wrong with them to find out what's wrong with me. You know, and it's so after a while it becomes laughable. When you're walking in the awareness that you're part of something greater, something bigger, something more, that there is a power and presence, and you know that this presence, this power, you may not be able to even describe it or describe it in words sometimes, but you just know you've had moments where things have happened. You've had moments where you didn't know how you're going to make it, but something happened. You got a call, you got a text. So you may not be in it all the time, really knowing it. You may still be doubting and like, ooh, I don't know, maybe this time is going to be different. But there is something in you that knows. And guess what? Whether you know it or not, it is in you. It is your life is its life. You're thinking with the thoughts of God. You're seeing with the eyes of God. You're worrying with the mind of God. You're afraid with the thoughts of God and the mind of God. Everything is an expression of God. You just get to decide if you want to go for more the low vibrational part of the energy or the higher vibration. Let me see. Let me read what Rashida. Depends on where you are in the world. Let me see if I can read it. I'll read it out loud. She said, I love my name, Rashida. It means rightly guided in Swahili. Interesting. I didn't know that. When I think of Rashida, I think it being Arabic. Never thought it was Swahili. Rightly guided. So your first name means rightly guided, and your last name is God-win. I love that. So you're rightly guided, and God is always going to win. Woo! I'm going to change my name to Rashida God-win. No, I like my name. I'll keep it, because God always wins with us, especially when we know it. She said, I love my name, Rashida. It means rightly guided in Swahili, and I'm looking to change my last name as I agree with what you said. We show up as God on earth. We do show up as God on earth, and I'm asking for assistance here. There we go. Therefore, a name is far more important than we think. They study history and the enslaved. They study history and the enslavers and churches said it was important to change. Yes, Lord, to change the name of the Africans to European, because he who has no name does not exist. She said, let me read that again. He who has no name does not exist. And Rashida said, let that sink in for a minute. He who has no name does not exist. Yes, and when your name is stripped from you, your culture is temporarily, you feel disconnected temporarily from your culture, from your tradition, from your roots. Because there's an interruption in that flow of life. But the beautiful thing is, the divine is always corrective. It's self-organizing. So when people try to disconnect you from your roots, from your heritage, you are an embodiment of a self-correcting, self-organizing, self-healing presence, power. So basically, the work is done in vain. So if you think, particularly in America, because how the oppression in America, how loud it is. Hello, David. How loud it is. You think of what was done to Africans that were enslaved many, many, many years ago, and how that still continues. And look at what the descendants of those who were enslaved are doing today. Obviously, somebody ain't paying attention. Because if they are paying attention, they should go, you know what? We can't win. We thought we're better than this, folks, but they just keep redefining. They keep showing up in different ways. We need to rethink. But in order to think you're superior than another, you obviously feel less than. Because when you recognize that you're a sacred being, when you recognize that you're a spiritual being, and everything about you is an expression of your consciousness, your mindset, your understanding of what you say God is or isn't, you start to see life differently. And you won't. It's hard to say somebody's less than you, because if you're doing the work, when you find yourself thinking that thought, something in you will kick in. And it could be annoying sometimes, because then you end up becoming so understanding. You're like, yeah, I understand their history. Somebody told me why they're like that. Now, they may be abusing you, but you've been doing the work, right? But you understand why they're being an a-hole. But you can understand, and that doesn't mean you put up with it. You accept while they're doing what they're doing, and there's a consequence. You might have to take some actions. You may have to sue them. Whatever. You may have to put them out your house. Being spiritual doesn't mean you just don't speak up. It means you show up. I think we're getting ready to releasing this conversation today. I want to invite you to, once again, join my mailing list so you can find out what I'm up to, what I'm creating. Yeah, I think I'm complete. Yeah, so you can go to my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. Wednesday evening in America, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time, Thursday morning. Join Ricky Byers and myself for Soul Fulfilling. You will be fulfilled. Join us. And if you want to find out more, just go to You can find Ricky's channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Ricky Bias, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Ricky Bias is RICKIE, not Y. We are living in an interesting time, an unprecedented time. We're living in a time where the dreams that we've held, the vision that we've caught, can reveal itself. We can really, let me finish that thought. Maybe I won't finish that thought since that wants to come out. When people have said, I've heard people, I think the first time that hit me was Brother Ishmael Tete from Ghana, an African mystic who's pretty powerful. Check him out, Ishmael Tete, or just do Brother Ishmael in Ghana. Google will tell you. When the first time he said his work is about world peace, and you hear about, I know I do, about world peace. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And sometimes it's easy to say world peace, while the people saying, I want to see world peace, but they're the least peaceful person. In order to experience world peace, it's got to start here. So Brother Ishmael Tete would say, he's standing for world peace in his lifetime. And then I've heard some people say that the world we're visioning may not happen in our lifetime. And I would say both are true. Some things is not going to happen in our lifetime. And there's a lot more that can happen right now in our lifetime. And I would go out on a limb and say the reason that we ain't seen it is not happening. I mean, it's happening on some level, but the reason it ain't global, the reason it hasn't gone viral is because we're not fully stepping up. What I'm about to say is like when I find myself saying this, I get nervous a little bit. Politics in the world is the way it is because we allow those people to do what they're doing and we judge them and criticize them. If we want to see something different, we got to be willing to step into it. I say it cautiously because I ain't trying to go into no politics because I want to be free to say what I want to say. And now, when I say that, it's because I'm still holding on to a belief that politics means I can't say what I want to say. So I'm thinking of tomorrow based on yesterday's mindset. So if you want to change politics or whatever you want to change, whatever you want, what you believe can be different, maybe it's your relationship with yourself, with your beloved, with your husband, with your wife, with your children. If you want to see something different, the work is being willing to release yesterday's belief about that thing, that person, that place. And the work is, how can I cultivate a new way of looking at this person, at this institution with new eyes, with the eyes of God? How do I bring the consciousness that I want to see in politics, in the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the education system? How do I bring the consciousness that I know is possible without judging it based on thoughts of yesterday? That's the work I got to do. Because if I want to see a new world, if I want to see something different, but yet I keep judging it based on the thoughts of yesterday, I'm going to create more of that tomorrow. Yeah, we are the ones, and we can really, really experience a world where people are being honored, affirmed, celebrated in our lifetime. We can magnify it, we can amplify it. It's happening. That's why we're having this conversation. However, Something in me, something in you, something in us is calling for more, to have more of what we know is possible. And for that to happen, for that to be birthed, something in us has to die. We have to allow, I don't know how to do it, to die. We have to allow, I might make a mistake, to die. How do you allow, I might make a mistake? How do you allow that to die? By saying, I'm just going to trust in God. If I make a mistake, that God will work it out. The divine will work it out. The higher power work, or I'll figure it out. If I make a mistake, I'll apologize. If I don't know what to say in that moment, I really don't want to meet with them because I just want them to sign the divorce. Just, I'm done. Just sign it. But I know that I have to be different. I don't know if I can face them. I don't know if I want to see their face, but I gotta be different. In order to experience the divine in a loving, powerful way, we gotta be different. And the divine is not out there waiting for us to come towards it. The divine is right here, waiting patiently for us to fall back into it. Be willing to be different. Be willing to trust that you are sacred. To even say it out loud in spaces and places where people might think, you what? Sacred. Take back these words that religion has hijacked. And it reminds me of something Ricky shared with me. And it's this idea of deliver me. Deliver me. And when she was sharing something, she wrote a journal entry. And when she read it, I was like, well, first I read it, I was thinking of, it's like asking God to deliver us. And you hear that a lot in the Christian community. Again, it's not a judgment. It's just what it is. But many people have felt abused, used by Christianity. So it seems like every time we say Christianity, for those of us who are not going that path, we have to make a sort of disclaimer. There's other places I can go with that, but I won't. Let me just stay on point. So this deliver me. And so talking to Ricky, and she was like, there's another aspect to this deliver me. It's like, think about it. If you hear deliver me as God saying, deliver me this day. And the divine is saying, birth me. Be the place through which I come through. And that's a whole different conversation. Deliver God. Let God be God through and as you. And what's that? There's a phrase, not pie in the sky kind of thing. But these spiritual principles, they come alive when you're willing to apply them in your life when things are challenging. You will be delivered by your awareness of truth, spiritual truth, and embodied truth. Because sometimes there's some things that we hold on to that in times of crisis, it ain't even working. I remember my government retreat when I had to do 40 days and 40 nights in the detention centers. There were some things I believed before then that was not helping me in there. I had to let it go. Like, oh no, shit, this got to go. I need beliefs. I need truth that can help me get through this. Here I am in a detention center. What am I doing in here? My ego was like, get me out. I don't belong here. And I heard clearly Spirit saying, oh, you don't belong in here? So those other guys belong in here? I was like, well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't belong in here. Well, what makes you different from them? Well, that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying, come on, I'm a life coach. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm helping people. I've invested in lives of people. Why am I here? Yeah, once I stopped fighting it, I saw it. It was actually healing. It ain't one I'm going to sign up for again. It's like, done that. Been there, done that. I'm out. Literally. Anyway, Joe, nice to see you. Nice to see you guys. Thank you. Getting ready to release this. I tried to release it a few minutes ago, but there was more to be said. But this time we're going for sure. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Join us next month for representing our ancestors, representing our stories, because we are the one to bring about the change. We are the ones with the power. You are the one with the power. I am the one with the power. Your awareness of God will change and transform things, sometimes without even lifting a finger. Just your consciousness. Life is consciousness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Get ready to check out. You're welcome, Donata. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Rashida, Kwali, Marian, Shoyinka, New Jace, everybody who joined, who shared in the chat room, and those of you who are the silent listeners, thank you. Thank you, Sati, for holding it down. That's my co-pilot. If I need to just step away, I'm like, she got it. Maybe I should do that now. Let me let her close this show. I'm messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Oh, I love you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for doing what you do. We need each other because we are each other. Peace and blessings.
Be who you are.